very warm welcome from ET Studios, ET Education and Coursera. I'm Divina Lasson and today we're here to deep dive into the fascinating topic of advancing higher education, curriculum to careers. We will delve into the evolving shifts in higher education, encompassing the growth of online education, the significance of industry microcredentials, the influence of AI and ChatGPT on teaching and learning methods, as well as their impact on the future job market, and so much more. So to discuss this and understand how these trends are shaping the experiences and expectations of students, we have with us today an esteemed panel of experts. It's my pleasure to welcome our guest today. Prashasti Rastogi, Director, Coursera. Vishal Kurmar, CEO, Watson University. Dr. Vibhav Reddy, GNV, Vice Chairman, Sri Datta Group of Educational Institutions. And Professor Dr. K. Sri Harsha Reddy, Director, IMT Hyderabad. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So, you know what, I'd like to start with all of you from your very unique vantage points. Maybe we can lay a foundation of understanding how the trends in higher education have really been evolving over the years. And maybe each of you can highlight, according to you, the top 2 or 3 trends that you've observed. Prashasti, maybe we can start with you.
Sure, thanks, Divina. New education policy has given a lot of advancement to the Indian higher education system. Back in the day when I was still pursuing my graduate program, learning outcomes were not so clearly defined. Today, learning outcomes are very clearly defined. National education policy encourages ability enhancement learning, skill enhancement learning to ensure there are employability outcomes, there are research-based outcomes, and also be a job creator as well as job giver, right? It emphasizes the use of technology where people like us can work together with higher education institutions and impact at higher scale. Every learning has to be creditized, which means a lot of experiential learning, hands-on learning can actually be done for credit. And the very, very significant piece that has come in is active inclusion of industry into the learning.
Great, thank you. We'll deep dive into this as we move forward. But before that, Vishal, anything you'd like to add to this?
Just to give a bit of context about how today the education space is looking like and how the industry is looking at the talent. If you see, the gross enrollment ratio itself is at about close to 27% in the country. The latest skill report talks about that about 50% of the graduates coming from these higher education institutions, they are employable. They are ready for the job. Now imagine on a total target population, which is there of the country, 27% of the gross enrollment, 50% of that is only employable. So you're talking about what, 13.5%. And imagine a situation in a country like India where the population is almost 1.4 billion, right? I mean, you're talking about close to 84% of population, which today the industry thinks they're not even employable. That's a very big issue. And if that issue is supposed to be taken up, the first key thing which is required is, and that's what industry has been crying out loud for a very long time. They have been talking that, see, your degree is important. We understand that. We understand that you have to have those certain number of domain-specific programs, modules, etc. to be done, which is fine. And they will test it when they will be recruiting you from the campuses. But I am also interested to know, apart from that paper degree which you're going to show, what skills you have. Are those going to be readily available? Are you going to be a person who I can plug and play in my system right from the day one itself? Or am I going to be taking some time to train you further, get you skill ready, and then put you on the job, right? So that context is something which is a very big trend which is coming out. Not only it is on the minds of the talent acquisition managers of the India Inc. or rather globally, all across the corporates are looking for that. Also, it is there with the higher education institutions today. You have today 50,000 higher education institutions in the country. Now, if there are so many of those institutions are there, a lot of impetus which is going behind this entire quality education because of the NEP and various other things which are being pushed right now, then why it is that 84% of the population is not even skill ready? That's a big question for us to answer, right? Second big trend which is coming out is you have a lot of these nuances which are coming out today in this world, which you call as the business situations become extremely volatile, the VUCA world, what you really call it. Now, in that context of a VUCA world, if I am the recruiting manager from one organization, I would look for talent who can navigate this volatility, this uncertainty which is there. I want talent who's resilient enough, who's able to navigate, who can understand, who can prepare for the future, who's adaptable. So that kind of talent is what I am looking at.
Thank you for setting that very sort of macro perspective. That's why we're all here to kind of set context from our very unique vantage points. Professor, I'd love to get your inputs on this. The top trends that you see when it comes to the evolving position of higher education, especially in India.
Thank you, Devina. I see three broad trends in the learning ecosystem of higher education. First one, higher education institutions are moving towards immersive learning and experiential learning ecosystems from rote learning. This is what is highlighted in National Education Policy. Second biggest trend I see in the higher education learning is self-paced learning. I mean, that is where the institutions like Coursera or edX are playing a significant role, and the technology is playing a significant role, where the learner has that opportunity to learn, however complicated or however trivial the subject is, at a self-pace. The third biggest trend is combination of these two, where the learners, I mean, there are so many programs which are designed which have got campus immersions, the institute immersions, blended with the Coursera kind of certifications. So I see broadly these three trends in the learning systems, that is immersive learning, and the other one is self-paced learning and blended learning.
Fantastic. Thank you. Vibhav, let's get you in on this.
Yeah, thank you, Devina. I think Mr. Harsha has put very important learning trends across. Just to add to his point, I think we have come from that traditional chalk and board and lecture concept out of that, and now I think deepening of e-learning has increased a lot, and I think faculty-based, teaching is given less importance now. There's a slight decrease in that ratio.
Since he mentioned faculty, this is one of the things that we hear from the 3,000 campuses that we work with globally. Faculty empowerment, faculty upskilling is also at the center of this entire radical change that is coming in. Workforce readiness earlier used to be a more worry of the students just sitting for placements, because industry had taken partial owners and said, okay, we will work with you for about 6 months, half a year. We will train you on the digital skills, and then you'll be billable. Today, the industry is saying, it's a VUCA world, as Vishal pointed out. We are agile, we are changing very fast. Digital skills and human skills, both the skills are becoming increasingly important for students to carry forward from the institutions back here. Now, the faculty also has to show dynamism in adopting to this change very quickly, which means faculty upskilling is a continuous process which needs to happen.
Absolutely.
There's also decentralization and a little commercialization of education through edtech platforms, which has also helped students to do self-paced learning. So for example, there's a student who does not need to do the entire course of engineering in one semester. He just wants to learn about something about cloud computing or something like that. He can just go through only that one particular course and gain knowledge in that. And blended learning is something else, students are really going ahead for. They want media contents and presentations or different ways of teaching. So not just a lecture. And they're also gaining a lot of importance towards multidisciplinary learning.
As Prashasti has just pointed out, a very integral point actually, that it's not only the way institutions are approaching learning for the students, but for the faculty as well. So maybe you could share, Vishal, Professor, everyone, how are your organizations gearing up to get your faculty also tech savvy and on the ball with all the cutting edge evolution that's coming up in higher education? Professor, maybe we can start with you.
Yeah. See, in a higher education, especially academic institutions, what happens is teaching learning. For teaching learning to happen, it is interactions between faculty and students. So faculty are at the core, as Prashasti mentioned, that we'll have to upgrade before we handle now. The millennials is what we are handling, and then Gen Z students, learners we will be handling.
Is there a big difference, if I may ask?
Yeah. I mean, usually millennials, 2000 and Gen Z are the
it's a controversial topic, perhaps.
A decade old. So if you ask a millennial, are you a Gen Z? They will straight away disown
Yes.
Gen Z.
Yes.
Okay, so that's where institutes like ours at IMT Group, we have designed 3-year individual faculty development plan. And in these 3 years, and this plan will be made by the faculty themselves in 3 broad areas. 1, the teaching, that is pedagogy, and 2, research, that is publications, and 3, institutional service.
And as Professor rightly pointed out, digital teaching is a new skill
Yes.
that the faculty is developing. And digital teaching, unlike what happened in the pandemic, is not only involving going live on Zoom, but it's actually much more integration of
Absolutely.
digital tools to ensure the learning outcomes are measurable, learning outcomes are efficiently delivered, and the students are learning what's more relevant
Absolutely.
and contemporary.
How does Coursera step in when it comes to upskilling everyone for digital learning?
Yeah, so there are 4 key areas in which we have seen the maximum impact that we've been able to drive for the institutions that we partner with. One is agile curriculums. The National Education Policy allows integration of online learning into the core curriculums for credit.
Yeah.
So how do we strengthen the academic excellence at the universities by doing 2 things? One is giving them industry-ready content, industry-ready specializations to be integrated into the curriculum. B, empower the faculty to tailor their own solutions, make course packs, etc., using the tools that are there on Coursera. We have AI-assisted tools that students are able to use, the faculty is able to use. Second piece is driving student employability. Industry as an educator, as I mentioned, is a key trend, but there are acceptance of industry microcredentials by the industry. Industry says, hey, we define skills for certain job roles. And these are the microcredentials that sit on the Coursera platform from about 175 companies that we work with in the trending roles of the future, where students can acquire these microcredentials, learn, and be job ready. That helps students to be more career ready, more employable. Third piece is, universities are business institutions at the end of the day. So they have to ensure that there's revenue growth so that they can pump in the investment in development of the organization. Yeah. So how do you ensure that you have less go-to-market cost and time for new specialized courses, which are more industry relevant, are need of the future? So by including technology such as Coursera, you're able to go faster to the market with absolutely specialized learning.
Absolutely. So when it comes to really getting, because this is what I hear unanimously from everyone here, it's really all about getting your students industry ready ultimately. And for this, you harness technology. You also perhaps harness industry certificate programs in your curriculums. And maybe that's something, Vibhav, you can share how your organization is going about this.
Yeah, sure. I mean, before I talk about that, just let me give you a small scenario on how, see, all institutions are not on the same level currently. So they're in a transitioning period. They're going from affiliated to autonomous to university levels. So they are briefly categorized into 3 areas. They are non-autonomous affiliated colleges, autonomous affiliated, and universities deemed to be universities. So when it comes to these areas, the category 1, where I say non-autonomous affiliated to university colleges, their curriculum is fixed by the affiliating university. So there's not much there, for them to change their curriculum. So what happens is, for example, they identify a gap, and what they do is they pick up a course, say for example from Coursera, and they say this course has to be done by students for their betterment. This comes as an extra, curriculum. It's beyond curriculum. And when it comes to autonomous and affiliated colleges, the problem is there they have a flexibility to include certification programs into their subjects or curriculum, but the margin is very small, 1 or 2. So they can give credits, but in a semester probably 1 or 2 subjects can be added, not more than that. But when it comes to universities, the category 3, based on the industry requirement, the curriculum can be changed, say for 2 years, keeping in trends about the market and stuff. So like that, this is the scenario that we are dealing with. So.
Vishal, any insight you could share about how you're really gearing up your students to be industry ready, perhaps through certificate programs and so
Pick
on?
up the 2 questions. The first one regarding the faculty related things what we are taking up, and second is about the certifications which we're doing for the students. I think why it is important to just go a step back towards the industry readiness of the students, and hence faculty is at the center stage, and hence I thought of picking it up first, because there's certain unique things which we are doing at Woxon University, and I would like to share that with everyone here. Faculty development programs is something which is being done by pretty much everyone, and we are also no different. We're doing the same. The focus is definitely on making sure that the curriculum is really up to date. Curriculum is, as a university, because we are a university, we can have the liberty of changing the curriculum as many times we want to, right? And if the industry feedback is coming to me and I am able to bake in that feedback into my curriculum and pedagogy, who else is going to do it except for the faculty? So faculty is important, and they have to do it. They need to understand that. They have to know that what the industry needs, right? And then they're able to take it forward and bung it into the curriculum outline, design, whatever we call it, pedagogy. So that part is supposed to be taken by the faculty. But understand today that in some of the old schools which are there may not be too much of a variance which will come in the curriculum and the modules which you want to teach. But guess what? Some schools like School of Technology, the new technologies are almost coming every year. So there is a lot of change which is happening. And imagine if you're a faculty and you did your master's or PhD some 3 years, 5 years, 10 years back. And today the world has changed completely. Yeah. That is not the technology which is being taught at all. Yeah. And the industry is also not looking at it, right? So what kind of avenues are available for you to really upgrade and reskill them so that they're able to teach and connect with the today's students and also address the issues which the industry is talking about, right?
Thank you for that. Sounds like some real industry experience across the board, be it for the faculty or the students. That's what you're really aiming for. Prashasti, so we've understood in depth across different organizations how we can get faculty geared up to teach and really harness all the new technology. But the NEP also has strong mandates just to really ensure curriculum itself is multidisciplinary, multifaceted. How, in your experience, are you seeing universities and educational institutions gearing up to ensure this kind of very multifaceted approach to education?
Yeah, that's actually something which is the upcoming trend that we see everywhere. So just to quote a few institutions, they say, while I have technology programs, I have management programs, I have liberal arts, I have sciences, I have health, I know the careers are very much between all of these. Technology is at the bottom of everything that we do today. We work with Axis Bank, and I can quote, the CXO from Axis Bank who said, "We are a data company, right? We are a banking company which is into tech, and we harness a lot of data. So we need people who are tech and data oriented. But it's a banking career at the end of the day. So institutions are saying, if I have to prepare students for these kind of dynamic careers, I need to ensure that the students have the choice to learn. And that choice to learn should be in the direction of the skills they need to develop, plus the abilities that they already have. So why would a technology student studying mechanical engineering not be able to do applied machine learning and artificial intelligence specializations? Why would a liberal arts student be not able to learn fintech or social media marketing? Things that are also technology driven, plus also have the job connect. So we have been able to partner with a lot of institutions to enable this. Physical classrooms, getting faculty for everything, making sure even small cohorts are able to learn and students have the choice to learn, becomes a large problem to solve in terms of a physical infrastructure. So Coursera steps in and says, here are the specializations which are trending in the market. We have this endorsement. We work with global companies of the world. We know what their workforce is training on.
There's a lot of consciousness and awareness from the students' point of view on how integral this is in the learning process. Professor, maybe you can also share some real experiences and case studies on how you're ensuring this sort of very multifaceted learning for your students. How are you implementing this in your institutions?
I come from an institute which offers management programs, which is by default a multidisciplinary. So we get students, one of the unique postgraduate programs where we can accept students with medicine background, we can accept students with literature background, we can accept students with management, commerce, engineering. So my class already is a multidisciplinary class, and the entire curriculum, we draw courses from psychology, be it OB, HR, we draw courses from analytics and tech, we draw courses from mathematics, the statistics and so on. So management programs are by default multidisciplinary, and so national education policy is contemplating to make these B schools as distinct institutions which are already offering multidisciplinary. If you consider a university which is offering law school, tech school, then economics school, all those are embedded in our program at postgraduate and doctoral level as well. So that is specific to my institute.
Vibha, would love to get you in on this, and I'm sure you'd have quite a different perspective actually.
Right. We come from, our institutions, Sridhar institutions, is an autonomous, but it is affiliated to a university. So we don't get to pick new courses out of the random. So we are able to pick courses that is offered by the university itself. So in this line, multidisciplinary is a concept that is quite new to the entire country. Before e-learning came into the picture. Before that, if you had to do something like that, you had to find universities that had all these disciplines in one specific area. For example, Osmania University in Hyderabad or Delhi University in Delhi. So the NEP, when it was developed, I think it had the fourth industrial revolution or the fifth, what we call as Industry 4.0 in its mind or while developing this. So it emphasizes more on digitalization of manufacturing or data-driven analytics or things like that, or cutting-edge technologies or anything of that sort, advancement in robotics. So keeping this in mind and the local scenario in mind, we were able to introduce a few courses like CSBS, it means Computer Science and Business Systems. So it integrates both management and computer science subjects together. And then we introduced artificial intelligence and machine learning. Cybersecurity is something that is important in every area.
Fantastic, really exciting. Thank you, first of all of you, for your insights. As we slowly come to a close of this conversation, One thing that has to be spoken about, of course, when we're talking about advancing the educational sector is the role of AI, Gen AI, ChatGPT, of course. We have to understand the various perspectives. So, Prashasti, maybe we can start with you. How do you see the role of Gen AI impacting sort of the whole gamut of the education process, from the experience of the courses themselves to the job opportunities that open up, to the way organizations are approaching this sort of force to be reckoned with? In your experience, how do you see Gen AI impacting all of this?
Yeah, I think our founder, Dr. Andrew Ng, summed it very well when he said AI is the new electricity.
Sure.
Even if you don't understand it, you'll use it all the time, right? So artificial intelligence has crept up into all our lives in a very, very stealthy fashion. And what generative AI did at the early part of the year was it came across as something which was very revolutionary, but it was also very threatening. Yes. At Coursera, we actively took a decision to harness the power of generative AI because we thought, here's a new technology which can be embedded into the whole learning process very seamlessly and give a lot of power both to the faculty and the students. We built something called AI-assisted course builder. While there is no dearth of content on Coursera platform, there are about 10,000 courses and get a refresh almost every few months. Yeah. But there are still localizations that are required in the teaching learning process. So we put the power in the hands of the faculty and say, you have a resource like Coursera, and here you have an AI-assisted course builder. Why don't you put your syllabus together with Coursera programs and build a tailor-made course which can suit your needs? You can also harness your visiting faculty, industry faculty to contribute to those courses. So it becomes a very tailor-made solution designed for adaptive learning in every classroom. Second thing we did was we realized teaching assistants are not there, and students who are learning self-paced need assistance all the time, whether it's midnight or whether it's 5 a.m. in the morning. And they also need guidance beyond just the subject matter. We built Coursera Coach, which is powered by generative AI and sits on top of the platform. A student can ask a specific query related to the topic they are learning, to the entire value of that particular subject matter in a career that they choose. So from micro-learning till career-based learning, the coach is there to demystify everything for them. So these are the two things where we felt generative AI can do a lot. Third thing we did was we harnessed the power of using generative AI to give translations. Sure. Now Coursera is available. Coursera was available in 19 languages. Now it's much more scalable. So over the past 6 months, we've launched in 7 new languages. Wow. So that is, what technology can do.
Great. Vishal, I'm sure you have some very exciting examples you can share with us on how AI, Gen AI, is impacting your curriculum, the design of it, the deliverability, just any insights you can share.
Well, to say the least, just about a few years back, I think it was a black box. Yeah. Nobody knew about it. What is going to unfold? Everybody was kind of crystal gazing in terms of understanding that what are the aspects of this applicability going to be. Technology is a very horizontal capability, as you know very well. It touches into every industry, every sector. Absolutely. It is not, you were taking the example of Axis Bank some time back. I mean, technology is everywhere. So is the case with the educational institutions also today, right? So with the advent of generative AI, what we also see is that there is quite a bit of work which has gotten easier for the faculty in terms of the changes in the curriculum design, in the way the pedagogy can be delivered. Large part of it, I think, where I personally feel very excited about is today that it is no longer a situation where one-to-many is becoming a challenge, because the level of understanding of the audience in the class could be extremely different and varied. Okay, so one student could be extremely fast to pick up certain things, and one could be a little slow and may take some time and all of that. But it doesn't mean that the student is bad. The student is really good. It is just that somebody's taking a little more time in imbibing certain things, which it should have been done maybe earlier. But once that is done, they both are at the same efficiency level. So what's wrong in that? Right? So that is what I think generative AI is doing for us at our institution, that we are thinking and embracing it in this particular aspect, that I should be able to give a very curated, customized kind of a learning plan or a learning outcome journey which is required for every student, so that it is self-paced, so that they are able to monitor it on their own way. Of course, that is aided with platforms like Coursera as well, because that enables you with those kind of technologies, and you are able to do that because that is what the bedrock of the entire Coursera platform sits on.
Fantastic. Professor, let's get your insights on this.
I'll share two use cases from my group. We have been doing several workshops on ChatGPT
Okay.
for both faculty as well as students. I mean, students have adapted ChatGPT in a very quick way, and we started sensitizing them. See it as an aid. Do not see it as the panacea for all the problems. So just see it as an aid, and do not lose the human part of your ability. So, I mean, at this point, I just want to share one initiative which we have taken up. PGDM Industry Track Program in IT. This is in partnership with HCL Tech, where, I mean, do not go away from the tech, embrace the tech, and then you will be more sought after, more resourceful, more relevant to the industry. So that's where, even though we are a typical management institute, we started embracing the tech, and AI is one important tech of late. So it's a welcome thing. Students need not, if this has been watched by the students and learners, they need not be apprehensive of the advancements in AI. They can only learn to embrace the technology for their advantage.
All right, on that note, to all you esteemed panelists, thank you so much for this conversation today. It's been absolutely fascinating to understand what the future and advancements in the educational space, higher education, is going to look like. Thank you all for your input.